Your voice, live from South by Southwest Sydney. I'm Lee, and
I'm Fiona.
thanks for joining us. Our first guest is the director at Cox Inall Ridgeway, Yatu Widders Hunt. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me today.
In so many industries, from fashion to advertising, First Nations imagery is used to make brands look good, not to create better outcomes for communities. Is that the core issue you find trying to change through your work?
Yeah, it's definitely one of the big issues. As you've kind of mentioned, a lot of First Nations intelligence, art, ways of thinking and doing are often used without that collaborative process behind it. And like you say, without defining the aspirations or the benefits of communities. So for us, it's really important to encourage clients and brands and organizations, whether that be in sport or fashion or technology, to actually think about taking a more collaborative approach so that First Nations communities can actually not just influence and advise, but actually drive communication approaches and representation of themselves.
That's really important. So, what do you think one important rule when working with First Nation communities would be?
I think for a lot of organisations, we see them not engaging or partnering with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities early enough.
Right.
So a lot of organisations will say, oh, look, we'll go and create something. We'll come up with a program or a product, and then we'll go out and test it with people.
Right.
But the more powerful thing to do is actually co-create and co-design the approach together, walking every step of the way. It creates better outcomes, better results, better representation. And it also means that First Nations peoples have agency and control over our own stories. So I think taking a partnership approach rather than trying to do everything yourself and then going and testing it later is probably the biggest thing I think will help to create change within the broader industry.
Good balance.
Yeah.
When a potential client approaches Cox Inall Ridgeway, what are there green flags or red flags that you see in their brief?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, obviously, we're open to meeting and talking to lots of different organizations. I think probably some organizations who've maybe thought about this a little bit more, or maybe better positioned to start partnering, are organizations that have are prepared to resource this work. So for some organizations, they perhaps have limited budget, or perhaps look at it as an initiative that isn't core to their business. So it doesn't always get the same level of attention, buy-in from senior leaders and resourcing. And that comes in the form of budget, time, having senior executives involved and supporting those projects and processes as well. So that's a really big one. And also having, it's always really lovely to see organizations who have a really good record of thinking about these things, putting practices in place. And you don't have to know everything. You don't have to even know a lot to start doing things in your business, like performing acknowledgements of country, reaching out to local Aboriginal organisations in your area, bringing Aboriginal expertise into the projects that you're delivering. So those are the kinds of things that I think are really lovely and positive things to see when we're having those kind of initial and first conversations.
Yeah. What's a good way for a campaign to progress with First Nations in the right way?
Yeah, like I mentioned, taking a collaborative approach is really, really important.
Definitely.
So I think there are projects that we've worked on and that we've seen that have actually yielded really great results because they have actually engaged with communities right at the outset. So there was a particular project that we worked on in the mental health space a couple of years ago. It was a campaign that was actually designed with and by communities.
Wow.
So it's a little bit different to probably how other, we're not a traditional agency, but how other sort of agencies might approach it, where a client might come to you and the agency is like, yep, we'll devise the strategy and have the answer. Where I guess in our world, we believe the answers live in community. So we actually work with communities and clients to devise the messaging, the strategy, the creative, all of these things. And I think, again, when people are actually part of the process and reflecting themselves and their stories, the outcomes of the campaign are way stronger and are way more impactful rather than being created by someone else who doesn't have lived experience of those issues.
Well, thank you very much, you two, for spending some time with us, and I know you've got a seminar that you need to get to, and thank you very much for taking some time out and joining us here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank
Have a great
you.
South by Southwest.
TAFE Radio.
Okay.